Let's talk about Squarespace. That's right, we have a sponsor now, and that sponsor is Squarespace. And right now, Squarespace is partnering with TYT, our parent network, and they are gonna be offering up a 10% discount of your first trial. Squarespace is an awesome website where you can design your very own personalized websites for whatever you're working on in your life. I have some personal experience with the website. That is, my girlfriend, I guess now fiance, has a blog that she documents our own travels, our life together, and it's called Have Dog Will Drive. It's wonderful, and she created it with the help of Squarespace. Before this sponsorship even occurred, she just knew that it was the place to go to create a website that was simple and user-friendly and has gotten her some readers from all over the world. So check out her blog, Have Dog Will Drive, and also head over to squarespace.com/TYT for that 10% discount. I can't wait to see what you guys are working on. Welcome back to part 3 of Murder with Friends. Today we're talking about Andrew Cunanan, who's a serial killer. One of his victims was Gianni Versace. In this third part, Jason and I are gonna be getting into some of the motives, because since Andrew killed himself, there's wild speculation on what led him to this cross-country crime spree in the first place. We're gonna give you our opinions. We're also gonna be talking about Ryan Murphy, an American Crime Story, who will be giving this serial killer and this crime the American Crime Story treatment. We're gonna show you the trailer, react to it, what we think we can expect from it, something that we're excited for, something that maybe we're concerned about. So first of all, Jason, I wanna read you a quote that I found from a Chicago police captain, Tom Cronin, and he is a serial killer expert, and he said the following about what he could surmise of Andrew Cunanan. He says, deep down inside, the publicity is more sexual to him than anything else. Right after 1 or 2 of these homicides, he probably goes to a gay bar in the afternoon when the news comes on and his face is on TV and he's sitting there drinking a beer and loving it. You hide in plain view. Do you think that this is an accurate characterization of Andrew?
I think, sure. Because I mean, who knows? When you're dealing with someone like him who obviously is capable of anything, that could very well be the truth. I think when it comes to motivation, I personally feel that he wanted fame at any cost, be it positive or negative. And what better way to have the whole world take notice of you than to commit the most outrageous, the most egregious. I think his motivations were, like I said before, stem from his feeling of not being enough, his feeling of entitlement, his feeling of if I can't have it, neither will you.
Yeah, my opinion on what his motivations might have been are kind of similar to that, with a slight deviation. I think that the first 2 murders that are just so puzzling to me, of Jeffrey Trail and David Madsen, I don't think that those were motivated for the desire for fame or ambition. I think he was spiraling out, whether it be his drug use, where he was with his mental health at that point in time. I think he spiraled out and acted premeditatedly, but also irrationally, if you can reconcile those two. And I think that once he saw that gave him a certain level of fame and notoriety, and that he was able to get away with it, and perhaps the thrill that it gave him, he was able to lean into that and suspend his conscience away from himself and commit other murders. And then I think the murder of Gianni Versace was I think he knew that was gonna be his last murder. I think he knew that was it for him. But I don't think that he set out with Gianni Versace as the target, but I do think that we see him spiraling out, making the decision to take a one-way flight and murder these 2 people that he loved so dearly.
Well, because it was abandonment. Those 2 people who were so paramount in his life exited his life forcefully, without any remorse. He loved David. As we said, that was the love of his life. Jeffrey Trail was the male figure in his life that wasn't sexual, but was a place of solace, was a place of peace, a safe space for him that also was gone. The family issues come into play. You know, you have some psychotherapists and some psychologists say that Andrew had, from the turmoil between his mother, who was deeply religious. His mom was a very religious Catholic, and his dad leaving them destitute, that had an effect on him as far as abandonment. So I don't think those 2 were for notoriety or fame. I think those are crimes of passion. I do think that Lee Miglin was revenge, if you will, if they had been intimate, and was a sexual, as the forensic scientist said, or the FBI forensic official said, was a high he got from the way he killed Lee, the sadomasochistic, the leather, the wrapping of the head. I think that would have been the killing that really solidified him and really solidified within himself that, wow, I'm capable of this. That he totally, what's the word I'm looking for? He hit the point of no return. So, and then also we needed to point out that when he stole Miglin's car. So we said that he evaded authorities for so many weeks, so many months. He stole Miglin's car and he was making phone calls from the car. Those were pinging to the FBI. The FBI, if he had stayed in Chicago, probably a day later they would have caught on to him, but he ditches the car with William Reese. So it was very puzzling to me, and also just laughable how the FBI's were not able to catch this guy and how lucky he was on so many accounts.
Well, just how quick moving he was as well worked in his favor to get away for as long as he was unfortunately able to. Now, there is one motivation that people will point out, and I'm sure maybe you've seen this online, that is not true, which is that Andrew felt that he had contracted HIV and that this murder spree was him enacting out revenge on people that he thought might have given him HIV, but that's not true for a number of reasons. One, the autopsy will show that he doesn't have HIV, and that he had been, I believe he'd been tested like 2 months prior to the murder and he was HIV negative then. And also, like you just said, he didn't have a sexual relationship with William Reese or with Jeffrey Trail. I think that is sort of a fear-based assertion,
of course,
from the time where it's like, oh, well, like he's gay. And then what happens with this invariably in 1997 is that every sort of gay stereotype and negative stigma that people want to throw out, because it's 1997, they do. So it's like we're talking about AIDS and HIV and gay, and so because gay, it's porn and it's S&M and it's violence and it's scary and don't be gay. Like, and they use all of that to create this image of Andrew that while he was a ruthless, reckless, awful person, he's not these things. Exactly. We don't need to throw that in there as well. He's awful on his own. We don't need to like throw HIV and AIDS in there. Like we don't need to equate that at all. It's irresponsible.
Very irresponsible, Grace. The late 90s was a time in television where sensational, salacious gossip. You had shows like Ricki Lake, Maury Povich, Jerry Springer, shows like Current Affair, Extra, that were all built on the salacious headline of the day. What is the perfect storm than to have Versace, who was openly gay, serial killer who's openly gay, and all these different elements that are in the blogosphere about AIDS and porn. It was a great way to get ratings. It was a great way to get eyeballs on the show without really taking into account and having respect for what has happened.
And I think that is really an excellent segue, because there is another television show that's gonna be coming to your eyeballs that would like to get the ratings, and we're gonna toss to the trailer of the American Crime Story show that's gonna be coming out that details the Versace murders. And then we're gonna talk about if we think that they're doing the right thing here, and our own thoughts and opinions on the show. So let's take a look at the trailer.
Shortly before 9 a.m., fashion designer Gianni Versace was shot on the steps of his villa.
Pronounced Versace.
Singer?
That's Liberace.
He was a creator, he was a genius. Everything you see around us, this house, this company, it was his life. I will not allow that man, nobody, to kill my brother twice.
So what brings you to Miami?
I know people.
Oh yeah?
Versace.
Versace. You're creative, yes?
Of course.
I can be submissive.
You have no idea.
What do you do for work?
Listen up. What are your greatest attributes?
I'm smart. I'm clever.
I was thinking more along the lines of how big.
You can't do it, can you?
Can't what?
Stop lying. Andrew Cunanan, 27 years old. He's killed 4 men.
This world has wasted me. And yet this world also made you, Mr. Versace, into a star. You're not better than me. We're the same. The only difference is that you got lucky.
The Assassination of Gianni Versace premieres Wednesday, January 17th on FX.
Chills.
I was just gonna say
just got
chilling.
chills.
So chilling.
It's,
yeah.
There's some things that I can already tell from the trailer that I think are going to be interesting to see. One, you can already tell that they're leaning into maybe their belief that Andrew had some sort of a relationship with Versace. I think that that's sort of part of making television to an extent. You need to stretch that out, and it makes it more dramatic. I think they're also gonna play a lot up about what happened with the Versace empire following the death of Gianni Versace, which is a really incredible story. And what's the name of the actress that's playing?
Penelope Cruz.
Penelope Cruz looks really great. I mean, the acting looks really good
well
in this.
casted.
Very well cast.
Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk and everyone that's part of the American Crime Story and American Horror Story camp, they do a fantastic job of being factual. They really do their homework. If you watch American Horror Story, especially Coven, where it was about the witches in New Orleans, they really know how to tell a story and try to keep, like you said, they have to make a television show. And when thinking about Versace and the killings and Andrew, it's like, okay, how do we create a narrative to take our viewers on a journey to arrive at where we need to arrive, and that's the assassination. I am fully confident that Ryan Murphy is going to do this justice. Also, Ryan Murphy is of the LGBTQ+ community, so I think he knows he has a responsibility to make sure that things are done in a positive light as far as portraying the gay community. And he was a fan of Versace. He lived through this as well. So like with the OJ American Crime Story, you always get a tinge of what Ryan Murphy thinks happened. He always he will be factual, but it always goes to, no, here's what I think happened.
And I think that's a really important thing to remember when we're looking at a fictionalized account of a historical event. Not a fictionalized, but like when you're putting it on TV, you got to tell a story. There has to be some element of fiction, even if it's just as little as, okay, well, we know that Andrew had a conversation with Jeffrey Trail before he left. We don't really know what they said because both parties are dead, but we can write this. Just recognize that that is a writer that is going in and writing that conversation. I think that Ryan Murphy did a great job with the O.J. Simpson trial. I enjoyed that, but you can see sort of his thumbprint on a couple things, and I think that'll be interesting, especially with regards to the relationship with Gianni Versace and Andrew Cunanan, and if they have some sort of a dynamic that is established, or also like if there's like a wall of like newspaper clippings and photos and stuff of Versace. I have not found that existed in any of my research, but it makes for a great shot, and it tells the viewer that he was obsessed with him in a way that is visual, that isn't just, Darren Criss sitting down and be like, I sure am obsessed with Versace.
It's not a documentary.
Yes.
It's not an A&E special. It's not a 2020 special. It's a television show. So they have to give you, like you said, the drama, sprinkled in heavily with truth. It's so funny. I remember my first, account with Versace. I never knew the man, but I used to wear Versace fragrances. My mom had brought me in '96, had a fragrance called The Dreamer. And I always remember the Medusa head that would be everywhere in Versace stuff. And now even today in pop culture, the gaudy Medusa necklaces that a lot of urban rappers and people wear. But Versace was synonymous with the 90s. Versace will always be synonymous with fashion. Madonna at the 1995 Video Music Awards, she wore a collared satin blue shirt, and every chance she got to say this is Versace. Her blue dress from the 1995 photo shoot, I think it was for Vanity Fair, was Versace.
Yeah.
He was a visionary. He was a force in fashion, and even today, he's still a force in fashion.
And you know what I think is interesting too, is that his name has lived on. It's pretty likely that you've heard the name Versace or Gianni Versace, and Andrew's has not. And that is how it should be.
Right.
I know it's sort of ironic coming from a show called Murder with Friends, but I do try and make the show honoring the victims, and we're discussing dark times of history because I think it's how we learn and how we grow, and it's something that people are afraid to talk about within like the dark corners of a party after everyone's left. Well, we'll be that dark corner in a party and we'll talk about this. But Andrew, I'm happy that he didn't get that notoriety that he wanted. He set out and he desired the fame that he thought would fulfill him and make him notorious. No, motherfucker, like no one remembers your name, but everyone remembers Gianni Versace because he did good things.
Yeah, you're right. He did.
Think about it, no one. I didn't even know And I knew that he'd been killed by a serial killer, but I didn't know Andrew Cunanan's name, and I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing it right, and that's fine.
Yeah, you're probably, and that's okay.
And that's
all right. I agree with you, and I disagree.
Okay.
And the fact that, as Penelope Cruz says, he killed my brother once. I will not let him kill him again. Right. But I think when you bring up Versace, Andrew got what he wanted, and that was. He is infamous for killing Gianni Versace. He is known the world over for the murder of Versace. He is notorious.
But his name isn't known.
But his name isn't known in the sense of when you speak about Versace fashion, you don't say, this is haute couture from Versace. Oh, Andrew Cunanan, right? No. But when you think about, when people get into a deep conversation as we have today about Versace, Grace, Andrew Cunanan will always be a follow-up. Oh, he was murdered by this guy. And whether the level of intensity we speak about Andrew is grand, he's still there. He's still.
I think that's a good point, because it kind of reminds me of the last time you were on the show. We were talking about the murder of Selena and how her killer got sort of exactly what she wanted as well, in the sense that their histories, their lives are forever tied together to each other, and she desired that sort of control over Selena's life. So to an extent, I definitely see what you're saying, and I'd be really interested to hear from you guys in the comment section below. What do you think about the Versace murder? What do you think about Andrew Cunanan's story in general? Are you excited to watch the show? I believe it's on FX.
It's on FX. Also, one tidbit about Andrew Cunanan, the whereabouts of where he's buried is, I think till this day, really not public, because his family didn't want any kind of desecration or any kind of vandalism on the grave. So there's still things that are coming up more and more and more. And I think as this show premieres and Versace and Andrew Cunanan are thrust back into pop culture, we're gonna find out more.
We'll see. I'm gonna be watching. We should review it. I don't know.
Let's do it.
We should review it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know your thoughts about this in the comment section below. Thanks for watching Murder with Friends, and we'll see you next time.